Hey guys, Lodicus here with an achievement walkthrough for Alterity Experience. This released on the 17th of March 2023. It was developed by Onitron Studios and published by Dolores Entertainment. It can be found in both the Xbox and PlayStation stores for $9.99. It's a closed door adventure game which is set in the confines of a farm rancher's home, and for whatever reason the corn crop outside is now covered in a weird purple substance. The full completion should take you anywhere between 30 minutes to 1 hour, depending on your success rate with the defense sections within the game. There's a couple of missable achievements around reading all the documents, opening a safe, not using the smartphone functions, and finally unlocking the very final door on your first attempt. So with no further ado, let's jump straight into it. I'm going to hang around and narrate throughout this full half an hour, so I'll hopefully give you plenty of guidance on what to pick up and where to go, and we'll hopefully get you through this in under an hour. So once we spawn in, there's a little bit of a tutorial section here that just tells you how to observe. There's also a bit of a narrative going on in the story, and then once that's played out, it's going to give us the opportunity to interact with a few things on the desk. Where we currently sat now is the office. There's 7 documents that we need to read in here. I'm going to be able to read a couple of them while sat on the seat here by the desk. So I'm just going to wait until we get the prompt to interact with the phone. This is the one and only time that we'll use the functionality on the phone to raise and lower the security shutters. After this, we're not going to touch that functionality at all, and as long as we get through the full game without raising or lowering any shutters, we should get the achievement for Technophobe. So when prompted, pick up the phone and press A on the red square. That'll bring down the shutters, and then once they're fully down, you just need to hold left trigger again and then press A on the white square this time, and that will raise the shutters back up. And that'll be the first and last time that we use the mobile phone. However, we can use the flashlight on it by pressing Y. We're now going to get our first readable, so just press A on the post-it note in the corner of the screen there. To ensure that you get this achievement, you must look at every page, and probably best to pause on each page for a couple of seconds before navigating to the next. I found if you flick through them too quickly, you won't get the achievement pop. So we've looked at the post-it note. We're then going to look at the computer screen and then Anton's ID card, which is on the desk. And then the fourth and final one on the desk is the letter to the sheriff. Just ensure that you go to both pages before backing out. And then finally, we're going to interact with this rather purple piece of corn in the middle of the desk. That's going to then trigger another cutscene where our family appear to get abducted by aliens. We're now standing up. I'm going to move to one of the corners of the room here where we'll find a certificate on the wall for Betty's degree. Again, just ensure that you visit both of those pages. Opposite side of the room next to the horse is another document, which is a promotional flyer. Just make sure that you look at both of those pages and not flick through them too quickly. Opposite that, there is Anton's degree, which is our final document in this room. Again, just make sure you check both pages. And now we're going to pick up a key which is under the desk. Push in right stick to crouch and then press A on the key. This is the office key that's going to allow us to exit through this door. Once we head through the door, we're going to go into the kitchen where there is 3 readable items. There's cakes of the end of the world in the middle of this counter here. Just make sure that you flick through all 5 pages and make sure you do it relatively slowly. On the kitchen table, there is a Wheelbarrow Magazine. Again, just make sure that you visit both of the pages. Back out of that, and then we're going to turn around and head to the fridge. Here, there is 6 pages for the post-it notes. Again, just make sure you go through those at quite a slow rate. If you don't, there is a possibility the achievement won't pop and you'll have to backtrack and go through all these again, trying to find the one you missed or the one that didn't trigger. If you take the corridor opposite the office, you'll find a promotional flyer for the national park. Again, just make sure you look at both of those pages. And now we're going to head off to the main adult bedroom, which on this left hand side corridor, last door on the end, And in this room there is 2 items that we need to read. One of which is this new Neighbours Book. And then on the opposite side, on the other bedside table, you will find Damon's report card. Again, just make sure you read through this. Some of these pickups or documents will be in random locations. I will do my best to let you know where some of these locations are. I'm now looking for the key in this room, which again is in a random location. It might be in one of these drawers in the bedside table. It may be on the dressing table behind us. It could be in these chest of drawers. The key in this room is completely random, so you'll just have to make sure you check everywhere. In the end, I do find it on the windowsill, just by the window. So no, not in the wardrobe. Head over to the window, and there's a very small windowsill with the key on. Just make sure you pick that up, because we're going to need that a little later on. That's everything done in the adult's bedroom. We're now going to move into the living room, which is just next door to the kitchen. Before that, we're going to get a little brief cutscene of some sort of alien device. Once that's over with, head into the living room, and there's 2 things we need to read in here. This said Movies magazine just behind the settee or the sofa, and then there's one on the arm of the sofa here, which is Neptune Attacks. Just make sure you read both pages of those. There is a key in this living room that we need to collect, which is actually usually found under one of these little sofa chairs. You can lift the cushions up on them and it's underneath. However, the key doesn't seem to appear, or you don't get the interaction buttons until you get the following cutscene. So during this section, we need to defend our home from these alien invaders. The kind of little drones that come through the windows. What you need to do is quickly sprint up to the doors or windows and make sure you close them before they come in. Normally, you would do this with the mobile app on your phone, but because we're trying to get the Technophobe Achievement, we're not actually going to use the phone at all. We're going to have to actually manually run up to the windows or the doors and press A on them. I'm just backtracking, looking at that chair to see if I can actually pick up the key. I can't quite yet. We have another couple of alien encounters that we need to survive. So you're probably looking at the region of 7 or 8 that come to attack the house or take you away. You get an alarm sound to let you know that there is a break-in happening, but you don't know until you get your mobile app in close proximity. I found the best method was to look for the purple light or glow. It's pretty bright and these corridors are quite dark, so you can see roughly which direction they're coming into. And you can hear them as well. They do like a droning sound. So use the visual clue initially of the bright purple glow. This one was right next to me, luckily. Just quickly shut those doors. And then listen out to the hum and try and work out which direction they're coming from. If one does get through into the house, it's going to hunt you down and kill you. There doesn't seem to be any way of getting away from them. If that does happen, it'll then throw you back to the previous checkpoint, which is at the very start of this survival piece. So you will need to do the 6 or 7 door closures again before you can proceed through this area. Thankfully, once you come to the end of the sequence, you do get an audio prompt to let you know that it's passed. Other than this one, there's another 2 a little later on near the end of the game. Once this is passed, there'll be no need to monitor the doors or windows until a little later on. There's one here in the living room, just shut that. There is an achievement for getting caught by these guys, but we'll get that a little later on. I'm just trying to get through this as quickly as possible, certainly for the first half of the video. And I actually get the achievement in this video at the very last section before we finish the game, just in case you did get through all of this without getting caught, which I'd say is quite difficult for your first time. So there we go. You got the audio prompt there saying, "Are you kidding? The power's gone out." We can now interact with these little sofa chairs where we'll find the basement key underneath. We can then open the basement door, which is here right next to the office. We're going to head on down, and there is 4 pieces of documentation down here that we need to interact with. There's a Super Bomberina Blast game here, which always seems to be on the sofa arm. And then we're looking for the newspaper, which again, as always, seems to be on this counter here next to the coffee machine. There is a safe code in the laundry room. So once we've finished interacting with this, we'll go back to the front by the TV, take this left door. This is the laundry room. This safe code in here is in a random location. So it could be in the laundry basket. It could be on top of the fridge freezer. But in this case, on this video, it is next to the laundry basket on the top, or the pile of laundry on the top, just on the corner here. It was quite difficult to see. The code's always the same, and we don't actually need to input this code. It'll just instantly open the safe when we interact with it. Just ensure that you look at both sides of the document. We're then going to use a key that we picked up earlier and open this electrician's box. There is also a note from the electrician here which tells you how to solve this little puzzle. But in this case, I'm going to tell you what you need to set. So A needs to be set to position 1. B needs to be set to position 1. C is number 2. D is number 2. E is position 1. F is position 2. G is position 1. And then H is 2. Once all those are set, just leave it for a couple of seconds. They'll all go green and the power should come back on. Now that we've got the power on, we should get the achievement for electrician. And as long as we've read those 4 documents that are around in this basement games area, we can move into the garage section. In here, there's no documentation as such, but there is a key that's squirreled away somewhere. So it could be in the drawers, it could be on the bonnet of the car, which is on the opposite side of this wall to where we currently are at the moment. It could be just sat on top of this workbench. It's completely random. So what we're just going to do is a quick scan around this garage, see if we can find the key. I believe I do find it in the end on the shelf, just where I was previously. It's just directly behind me. So just to my right here. There we go. It highlights green. We find the elevator key. We're then going to use the elevator key, of course, on the elevator. So interact with the bottom keyhole and then press A on the button above it. May need a couple of presses, and then the lift should come either up or down to you. And then we're going to select floor 1. We can't yet go to -2 until we have a code. There is a security code that's required to get into the bunker on -2. So we're going back up to level 1. We're going to head back into the office and open the safe. So this is the other door to the office, which was locked and it's now open. We're just going to crouch down and press A on the safe to interact with it. May need a couple of presses, but then you will eventually get the achievement for unlocking the safe. The safe itself doesn't actually open, but you will get an achievement. Head back down to this corridor where we interacted with the flyer before. Now that it's dropped on the floor, it's in a different state, and it is suggested that you interact with it again. Next to the flyer is a plant pot which is broken, and it has the key to Chloe's room. Chloe's room has the picture of the bunny on. Just open that up. In there, there's 2 documents we need to read. One is this lookup, volume 1, which is always beside her bed. And then we're going to look for her diary. Her diary's in a completely random spot within the bedroom. It could be in the bedside drawers, dressing table, shelving. Just ensure you scour the whole of her bedroom until you find the diary. Just for reference, the diary is pink and it also has the same bunny rabbit face that is on the front of her door. Just make sure you check everywhere. You can't actually open the drawers on the desk, which I was trying to do. And then I finally find it on this bookshelf here. Top left, there we go, I found it. Go through all 4 pages, and what we do find is a key which is wedged in the book. So we get both the document read and we also get a key when interacting with her diary. This gives us Damon's bedroom key, which is just next door. This one's with the warning on the door, biohazard warning. Unlock the door, and in here we have two things we need to read. There's a physics book, which is always beside his bed, and then we have a drawing. The drawing is another one that's completely random. It could be anywhere in his bedroom. Two places I have found it is one on this desk and then his multi-storage shelving. It's been on there as well. Once you pick those up, make sure you go through both the pages, and we're going to go into Damon's wardrobe. At the back left here, there is a key on the middle shelf. Just ensure you pick that up, but that's always in the same location, and that gives us the kid's wardrobe key. Not sure if you noticed, but Damon's picture had a 4-digit code. That is the code to activate the lift. So we're going to head back to the lift, so just open the doors with the top button. Once inside, we want to interact with the keypad at the top so it turns green. Otherwise, you can't use the -2 button. Once that's gone green, we can then move down to the bunker. This is our last two documents that we need, which can be found in the bunker. A guide to capitalist survivors. Both of these are always in the same place at the very back, so don't worry about searching high and low for these. So one on top of this box, and then one on the opposite box next to it. Just ensure that you look at both two pages on both documents. If you've done all the documents correctly, there should be a little bit of a pause, and then you should get the Librarian Achievement pop. If for whatever reason it's not popping for you, unfortunately you will need to backtrack and visit all of the previous documentation, making sure that you slowly check each page until the achievement pops. In my case, it did pop because I slowly went through each document, checking each page. Once you've had the achievement pop, come back down to the bunker and search this room for Damon's toy box key. Once you've found it, it's in a random spot, so you will need to search the bunker high and low. Once you've got it, we're going to head back up the lift. The master key achievement should pop for finding all the codes and keys. This shouldn't be missable because you need all of these to get into the various rooms and things. Then once we're upstairs, we're going to head back into Damon's room and use the toy box key that we've just picked up to open the toy box. In here, we're going to find an alien device. Pressing left trigger will bring the device into focus, which we can then choose from a number of symbols using the D-pad to move left and right. Here, don't press A to confirm any of these. There is an achievement to get this first time without any errors. So what we're going to do is just hold on to it to now and close it down by pressing B. If you then press X, you can switch back to your phone, and then press Y to enable the flashlight. Again, just ensure that you don't hold left trigger on the phone, otherwise it will void the Technophobe achievement. Now that we have our phone back in our hand and we've got the alien device, we've got another long sequence of defense sections against the aliens coming in through the windows and doors. As we're a little later into the game, they're a little bit more amplified and more difficult to do, so they'll be coming at you at a faster rate, and in some cases you'll get two go off at the same time, so you need to have your wits about you. Look out for the purple glow, make sure you then sprint towards the purple glow and shut either the door and window before the device gets in. I found it best just to be running up and down the corridors, constantly moving, and then if you're lucky you'll see the purple glow before they'll actually approach the window, giving you ample time to then move on to the next encounter or breach that you need to close off. This section is quite lengthy and goes on for around 8 minutes, so if you want to skip this and just then pick it up when we start to move on with the story, move to 26 minutes 15 seconds, where we'll pick it back up after we've survived the alien invasion. About halfway through this encounter, the power will go off again. It's advised that you go back downstairs and interact with the electrician's cupboard or circuit breaker box. You'll get a prompt, a swear word in fact, and then you'll get a save come up which has created another checkpoint, and we need to survive another wave for another 5 or 6 minutes before we then move on to the next section, which was around 26 minutes and 15 seconds.
Enough! Get out! Leave me alone! Leave me alone!
Once you've survived both onslaughts of alien intruders, you'll then need to go down and put the power back on again. Once the power's back on, you'll need to come back upstairs and answer the ringing phone. At this point, it should trigger the Technophobe Achievement if you haven't used any functionality on your mobile phone other than the flashlight, which is why. Once we've interacted with the phone upstairs, we're going to get another alien intrusion. This one is just one single one that comes in through the office door. There we go, they got the Technophobe Achievement for not using the smartphone functionality. And then shortly after that, we're going to get a cutscene where an alien comes through the office doors. This is your last opportunity to get the Abducted Achievement. So if you've managed to get through all of these sections up to now without getting caught by the aliens or not letting any in, this is your last opportunity to get caught and get that achievement out the way. But just before that, we're going to head down to the bunker stairwell here. The alien's going to come past us into the kitchen and then the living room. While he's wandering around in the kitchen, we're then going to go back into the office, and the door he came in has now got this strange lock on it. If you just walk into it, you can't actually interact with it, just bump into it a couple of times and you should get an achievement, Lockpick. We're now going to let this guy spot us and get the Abducted Achievement out the way. If you notice there, he's scanning the windows. As he scans the windows, he projects a symbol onto the wall. These are actually the symbols that we need to use to do the puzzle, the very final puzzle. This puzzle we need to get correct first time. You can't fail at all. You have to get the correct symbols. It's a little bit tricky and probably the hardest section of the game. So you've got to get this right. So it's going to come in through the office doors. And as he comes in, we're going to wait on the basement staircase, so we end up coming in behind him. He's then going to scan the first two windows in the kitchen, which is going to reveal two symbols on the windows. And then finally, he's going to scan two in the living room before then coming back into the kitchen and scanning the main doors in the kitchen, giving us our fifth symbol. The tricky bit about this is getting the symbol correct. There's quite a few symbols, such as there's a triangle that's pointing at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 and 9. But then there's also in the corners, so it could be like 1:30, 4:30, 7:30, 10:30 as well. As you can see here, it's quite difficult to make out, but that was a flat line at the top with a little tiny triangle underneath it. Once you've spotted it, what I recommend doing is just pressing start and then writing that one down. So this one, a little difficult to see from a distance, but that was actually a triangle pointing at about the 10:30 position on a clock face. And then again, this one exactly the same as the previous one. So it's an arrow pointing towards the 10:30 position if it was a clock face. And then this is our fourth symbol. We're going to need to scoot around so I can see it. Quite difficult this one, but that is another triangle that's pointing to probably the 1:30 position if it was a clock face. Make sure you've written those down or at least memorized them. If for whatever reason you haven't spotted it or unsure what it is, just let the alien spot you, and what that's going to do is revert back to your previous save, and it is actually the same symbols again. So every time you do this, it is going to be the same symbols for this instance. If you start a new game, they're going to be different symbols altogether. My symbols here won't match yours. Just be sure, be 100% sure that you have the correct symbols and which position they are facing. Once you scan the first two windows in the kitchen and then the first two in the living room, these two that he's currently scanning in the corner, which I'd call 5 and 6, don't actually show any symbols. Once he's scanning those, I suggest standing in this very corner that I'm currently stood in so you don't get seen when he spins around. He then scans the fireplace as he's doing now. Soon as the light disappears from that, he's going to scan the door in the corner of the kitchen. This is where you'll find the fifth symbol that we need for the puzzle. As you can see there, it was an arrow pointing towards the 3 o'clock position. I've just pressed pause, written that down, and just double checked all 5 symbols are correct and I know what they are. We're then going to hide away underneath this table in the office. We're going to press left trigger to switch back to the symbol generator, and then we're going to move around on the D-pad to select the different symbols, just ensuring that they do match what we actually saw on each window in the correct order. Again, if you are unsure what the symbols were that you saw, make sure that you get caught by the alien and it'll allow you to follow him around the rooms. Again, just ensuring that you do have the correct symbols. If you don't get this right first time, you will miss the achievement and you'll have to play through the game all over again, getting back to this section, which will be most likely be different symbols for what you see here, as they change every single time. Like I said, this is the trickiest part of the game at the very end. Once you're happy with the 5 symbols that you've put in, just press A to confirm, and that's going to finish the game, giving you the achievement for escaping, as well as inputting the code or the signal into that device first time without fail. Hopefully my instructions and guidance there for that very last device and those 5 symbols were sufficient enough, as it is quite a difficult mechanic to try and explain to somebody. But if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. As always, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.